All right, good evening, everyone. It's your girl, Queen Cole, and this is another episode, a live episode of Light the Path podcast. Now, you are not going to want to miss this show today because it is all about releasing. I am releasing. I'm letting go of toxic relationships. So, when relationships become loveless, hostile, stingy, or even dangerous, you would think it's easy to leave, but they can be the hardest ones to walk away from. Joining me on the show today is Erica Warren, the host of Dope Discussions Live. I'm gonna have her in the building, and we had to double up today because this topic right here, toxic relationships, how to let go. We had to call it Ursula B, the host of Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. So they are gonna come help me out with this situation because y'all know your girl need help been too long. So y'all help me welcome Erica and Ursula to the show.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello. Thank you, ladies, for being here. I said I got to get a double team. Y'all have been helping me out. And just, Erica, tell everybody where they can find you at on social media because Erica and Ursula have been helping your girl out in these dating streets. Erica, tell us, and then Ursula, tell us where everybody can find you at, so that way they can go ahead and click, subscribe, and all that right now.
Yes. Good evening, everybody. My name is Erica Warren. I am the co-host of the Dope Discussions Live podcast here on YouTube. We go live every Sunday at 6:30 Central Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. You can just type in Dope Discussions Live and you'll see the logo right here. Go ahead and subscribe so you can get notifications when we go live every Sunday. Also, follow us on Instagram, which is Dope Discussions _pod. And you will get all the updates of upcoming topics that we're going to be talking about and collaborations and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. All right, Ursula, please tell. And I love the name of your show. Well, both of y'all have dope names, but Ursula, I love how you put that together.
You like it. You like it. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ursula B. I am the hostess of Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. And I have a YouTube channel under the same name, which is right there, Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. I stream every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but sometimes I sprinkle in little bonus episodes that are very good for the brain. So check me out, and also on all social media, Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together, as well as blackgirlsgettingtheirshifttogether.com.
Yes. Ooh, y'all got to stay tuned for this conversation because we got to get into it. But today is Tuesday. It is Do New Things Tuesday. So, Erica, what are you doing new lately? What have you started doing new lately?
I started a new segment of the podcast. We're calling it Spotlight Convos, where we are going to have one male and one female guest with a centralized topic, where we are actually just asking questions and listening to the answers. We're getting the male and female perspective so that we can stop all of this back and forth, finger pointing at it's the men's fault, it's the women's fault. We want to start our platform out where we actually are listening to each other, soaking in the information and having empathy for the other side of the situation and not, playing the blame game like we've been seeing so much lately.
I love that.
Ooh, I love that. I love that because we got to change this narrative. We got to say, you know what? We can get along. Even with Black women, us all coming together, it's nothing. I'm learning from y'all. We're helping each other. We're changing the narrative. So yes, and y'all are bridging the gap between women and men. Ooh, that's real good. So thank y'all for that. Ursula, what are you doing new? What have you started doing new lately?
Well, I've been blessed to work newly remote from home. So what I'm doing new is trying to becoming a lot more organized and intentional with my daily routine. That's new for me because I've been on a schedule from my previous career. It truly was to the minute. Now I don't have the time, but I have the leisure. So this is new for me. Erica knows.
It's easy to get, when you're on your own schedule, it's easy to just fly by the seat of your pants and just do what you want to do minute by minute. But having that regimented schedule, and you are responsible for yourself and being able to do what you have to do, that takes a new discipline.
It really does. It really does. Ursula, how long have you been doing it?
Let's see, 28 days.
Well, they say it takes
almost there, making it a habit.
Yeah, they say it takes 21 days to form a new habit. So
yeah, and I do
feel like in this whole epidemic, I feel like things taking longer. Like,
oh yeah,
I could do something 21 days, but 22, I'm like, let me get this Oreo. Like, I've been missing you. Like, I know how to hold out. You know what I mean? My discipline, and that's why I cannot trust my feelings. I gotta be disciplined. I gotta say, nah, queen, go get you some fruit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, indeed.
So yes, let's talk about this. Let's just jump in. Ursula, let me ask you this first. These toxic relationships, do you think that we overuse the word toxic? Because I feel like it gets thrown around a lot here lately. Do you think it's overused?
No, not in my world, not at all.
Okay.
A lot of things, situations, I didn't even know it was toxic. So no, I don't think it's overused. So in my world, it is very true. But I don't think people use the word as much before, but maybe a lot more people are becoming a lot more self-aware. So maybe it sounds like it's just being beat down with it, but it's knowing what it is, but actually being self-aware, because everybody can throw the word around, but let's look at some traits and patterns.
Yes, and that's what we want to talk about today for sure, especially how to let go, because I know I want to make sure that infinite possibilities before I disconnect. And we're not only talking about romantic relationships, everybody. We're talking about family. We're talking about even friendships, and then obviously the romantic relationships. But let's start with, I didn't even talk about work. We're talking about work. Ursula, you got a new work schedule. Now, Erica, tell me this about work. Have you ever had a toxic workplace situation?
Oh my goodness. People all over the world, if you've ever worked in a call center, that's one of the most toxic work environments that you can be in, because it's a high stress job already. And then the people that you're surrounded by, what you do is y'all get together and y'all just complain to each other, and you bounce all your negative feelings because you can't take it out on your customers. So you got to have somebody to be your sounding board. And a lot of times it would be the people that you work with. But it was to the point where we didn't really have a lot of contention between each other, because we all felt the same. We all felt like we were in the same boat. But every now and then, when you would get some new people in the mix, it would throw the whole thing off. And then you would get, people over here talking about people over there. And then especially when you throw in a new boss or a new supervisor, oh my God, I got stories about people coming in. They're supposed to be your supervisor, but you're actually teaching them how to do the job. And then they're trying to reprimand you about something. Ooh, it was a mess. So yeah, toxic relationships at the job. If you don't hold boundaries with people, if you, I think you were on our show. This was last year when we talked about code switching. And how you feel like you can't be your true self in the workplace. You hold off your real personality because you got to be somebody different at the job. But after so long, that starts to take a real toll on your mental health, and you will explode because you're jumping in and out of these different roles. And by the time end of the day, you don't even know who you are, who you're supposed to be, or who you're talking to at that moment. You might jump back into your homegirl role while you're talking to your boss and forget and go to cussing. and forget where you at, because it's stressful to try to be two people, and all these different personalities. So yeah, you have to hold boundaries with people. I remember even, co-workers wanting to follow me on social media. And I'm like, my personal business, what I do outside of this job, is none of your business. But one of these days, I'm gonna want to.
So you were Erica then. You wasn't Miss Warren.
I was Erica then. I would go and find all my coworkers and block them, because when I want to call in one day, but I'm really just BSing that day, I don't need y'all to see what I'm posting.
Erica, I agree. I literally went through every one of my coworkers and their kids. I sure did. I blocked all of them because I do not, let's just say this. Whenever I called in sick, I rarely was sick. I was usually in Jamaica.
You had that Jamaican flu?
What? Yes. And I don't need them to know. I mean, and even if I'm chilling with my bonnet on, because I need a mental health day because of all the ish that was going on at the job. No, I don't need that connection. I'm okay being disconnected. We're not hanging out. We're not having happy hour. But yeah, toxic work environment.
See, this is why I love y'all, because y'all are teaching me. I work for myself now, so I just have to worry about my own toxic self, and I don't care who see my post. It's all public or whatever. But when I was working, it was like we were a family. Like I was connected to them on social media, like birthdays and get together. Like I would do all that. But what you were saying earlier, Erica, about the code switching, I had to let my kids know, because I was just like, what stuff I didn't really learn growing up, I wanted to tell my kids. So I'm like, our parents, would work a job 30, 40 years, get a watch, a clock, and stuff like that. I'm like, don't do that. If you're not happy where you are, leave. And then I also told them, like, when you come to the interview, be yourself. Be yourself, because that's who you want them to hire, because you don't want to be doing that, going back and forth. Like, that's why I had a whole perfectionist thing, because I'm up here trying to be Miss Perfect, bebop, walking around. And then it just interfered into my regular life. I just kept the mask on. And, then you wear a mask to church. It was just like, it just kept flowing. Wow. And so when I got divorced, I don't know who I am. I don't even know what I want to eat.
Wow.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, because it's toxic. And you know what mine was? It was that slow poison, like just slow, like,
yep,
that's a little tangy, but okay, and just keep on going. And so, yeah, I was in that, but now it's like, I don't have to worry about toxic coworkers. And I told my daughter, I said, I probably need to go on an interview, because I don't even know how to ask for a job anymore. I've been working for so long. I just don't even know how to do that. So, toxic.
That's true.
Workplace.
When you get to a point in your life where you're tired of wearing the masks, and you go back into a situation where you feel like a mask might be necessary, it just doesn't feel right anymore. I remember the very last job interview that I went on. I was like, I don't even like this feeling of having to impress another person, or having to prove myself to another person. I'm grown, like says the entertainer, I'm a grown ass woman. And I feel like I have to get another grown person's approval. I'm going to tell you what my qualifications are. I'll tell you what I can do in the role. But all of that extra stuff of trying to impress you and make you think I'm this and I'm that, I'm just not going to be able to do that no more.
Wow. See, I never had to. Well, the type of work that I used to do, you can say everything, but once you start to perform, they're going to know, because I'm working on people. Yeah. But I never had to So when you all talk about your code switching, was it with accents or just the demeanor or what?
It was more so like the tone of voice, because I worked in the banking industry, and so when I would speak with customers, you had to have a professional image, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't be using slang words and rolling your neck.
Yeah, that's why you see. I just set up. When you said that, you said first. I'm like,
Right. So when you answer the phone, you're in your professional voice.
yes. And
Mm-hmm.
see, I was in big box retail, so it was a lot of in person, stuff, customers and stuff like that. So you're helping people, and you're like, oh yeah, let me help you find, like you're all
Mhm.
Yeah.
bubbly
Mhm.
and full of energy, but like you can't be full of energy every single day. So
Yeah.
I start splitting up. Okay, 100%. How am I going to do this? About 30 on this day, about 19 on this day,
Yeah.
0 on this day. Now, when I wore my skirt, and this is when Coach was a thing, I wore my Coach loafers and my skirt. Come right down here. This checkout is open over here. Come on over here. I would be like a flight director. Just
Flight attendant. And
so
what
I would
feeds
do
it
that
to
because I had to preserve my own mental health, because the whole, hey, come let me help you. I'm walking over here, just that was, I would just say it's on this aisle, go ahead. But now being in this atmosphere, I'm like, oh, come, let me take you over here. Do you need help with anything else? Like you just like,
right. You have to pretend that you care about things that you really don't care about. But sometimes, you've ever been in a situation where somebody is really distraught or over exaggerating about something, and in your mind you're like, that's not that big of a deal. But you have to, because you're in customer service, you have to,
Yeah.
whatever their issue is has to become your issue, and you have to show that you care as much. And you're like,
Mhm.
girl, I don't care about no eggs. I don't care.
because you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go to the back. I'm gonna fix my hair. I'm gonna make sure my earrings are straight. I'm gonna tuck in my shirt a little bit, fix my belt. Oh, it's not in the bag. What's out? We're out of it. We don't have it.
Right.
Or we had a little handhelds.
And it takes energy to do all that pretending.
It does. It's like you're a low budget actor.
Yes.
What
Yes.
is it called? A D-list. I was a D-list actor.
Yes. Yes.
But I did make some genuine friendships from working there. And it was really more so we had our foundation there where we met each other, and, our kids talk and stuff, like our kids did the same activities. So I would see them out. And so some people I still have relationships with, because we just grew out of it. And like once we left, we're like, yeah, da 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 da. We
Mhm.
take off that
Yep. You take that
costume
mask
we had,
off.
and then we're able to just be our true selves. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I've done that. I formed friendships from all of my past jobs, and we're friends outside of the job. So I don't have to have that mask on with them, because they know who I really am.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so we ain't even going to
I
talk about
haven't.
church. We ain't even going to talk about church.
Oh
We
my
ain't going to talk
goodness.
about church. We're going to go ahead and fast forward to family.
Mm.
Ooh.
Ursula, have you ever had to deal with some toxic family members?
Yes, ma'am. Look, Erica knows
Ursula,
also.
take it away.
Well, it all started in 19. No. Yes, toxic AF, and they are very close family members. So over the past maybe 4 years, 4 or 5 years, I'll say I had to completely cut off a family member. It was too much. It was too much, and it was literally breaking me down from my soul, and then literally internally, and then it started coming out outwardly, and I'm stressed. Eric, I never told you this, and Queen, I'll share this with you. I was so stressed at one point. I had no idea where the stress was coming from. Do you know my hair was falling out? I
Oh.
remember I was at work, and I had a perm at the time.
Yeah.
And someone asked me a question. I said, oh, no. And I looked down on the counter and saw all this black hair on this white countertop.
What?
I had no idea. Yes.
Mm-mm.
Yes. And then I'm stress eating. So now I'm gaining all this weight. But I had no idea that I was still connected to that toxicity. It was literally like an umbilical cord.
Yeah.
It literally was. And so I cut it off, and it wasn't easy. But because of therapy, and I realized, like, look, it wasn't me. Like, it's you. Some of it was me as well. Now I'm not gonna act like I'm 100% perfect, but that was the common denominator was that it was a parent. It was a parent.
So how do you do that? So you said you went to therapy, but did the therapist give you some techniques to be able to say, I'm just going to disconnect? Because the guilt of disconnecting is my situation. Like, I know this is not good for me, but how much can I tolerate? Can I distance myself? Like, how were you actually able to sever ties like that?
Well, okay. It's a loaded question. It's with my parents. So it was easier with my father because he's just not a good person. He has unresolved childhood trauma that he's never resolved. And it's trickled down, like you said, that slow drip of poison. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard, but it was easier with him. And with my mother, she is a nicer person. And we're going through our own. I didn't even realize I had mommy issues until a year and a half ago. Like literally. And I swear, some people don't think that intuition, or you can literally at a snap get that aha moment. And that's what I had a year and a half ago. I was like, I have mommy issues. So I'm still going through that now with the guilt. And I even I had a panic attack about 4 weeks ago because I guilted myself so much. I couldn't even sleep. So the therapist gives tools. She's not going to tell me what to do, but I realized from having depression that you get ruminating thoughts. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the stories I thought up in my head, and okay, well, that's why I have to have this connection. Well, we're family. But with my father, we look alike and we share the same DNA. That's it. It's gray rock with him. Mm-hmm. With my mother, I have to hold firm boundaries, which is why we're not in a place where we used to be. It's because I didn't have any boundaries, because I didn't grow up with any, so I never recognized it. So the way I'm going forward with my parents is that for my mother, with my heart and soul, and I'll keep the gate open for her. So that gate is not locked. It's going to open and close. But with my father, it is a brick wall that, just like this wall behind me, it cannot penetrate it. Down. I'm not going to, I wish I could have a better relationship, but that's not the kind of relationship I want with him. Yeah. Because it's trickled down into relationships with men.
Yeah.
So at what point do I stop?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's good. I'm glad that you are, able to work through that and just say, hey, this is what it is. Because see, I don't hear a lot of people say mommy issues. I hear guys putting that on us. You got daddy issues, but you don't hear about the mommy issues, because that is also a thing. Because sometimes us moms with our boys, sometimes I have a girl and a boy, but sometimes with our boys, we're a little bit more, lenient, I guess it could be the word. But with our girls, I feel like even with Jada, we would be a little more firm with her. I mean, she's very independent now, which both kids are independent, but with her, I could see how it was a double standard. And so we really had to work through that also. Like, he can't be over here doing this and she can't do nothing.
Right. But, I think several of us don't even know that we had mommy issues.
Yes.
And go ahead, sis.
That's the thing, is that mommy issues are more covert. They're more hidden because we're more emotionally attached to our mothers. It's harder for us to detach from our maternal parent than our paternal parent, because a lot of times the paternal parent, the father, their either their abuse or their neglect is more readily seen. You can actually
Mm-hmm.
see it. You can actually identify it. But with the mother, you're so closely attached to her, you don't even realize that it's happening until later. And that
Yes.
was my revelation. I concentrated so much on not having my father and what that impact was on me that I didn't realize I got a lot of my issues from my mother as well, because by her being the parent that was left behind, she was also a broken person, and she was also healing from the absence of him not being there. And
Mm.
so I got a lot of her pain on me, a lot of her unhealthy coping mechanisms um, became part of her parenting style, and I did not realize that it was damaging me. When you have it, when you're being parented by somebody who has their own trauma and they're trying to deal with their
Ooh.
own pain, they're going to inflict pain on you unconsciously, but it's still pain. I remember, my mom saying things to me about how I remind her of my father, and
Mm.
negative things, and withholding her affection from me, and being very critical and very overprotective. And all of that affected me, but I didn't realize it at the time. That I was just seeing it as a overprotective mother, trying to protect me. But I didn't realize it until later on. Me and Gator actually did an episode called Toxic Motherhood,
Ooh.
where I spoke about how her mothering affected me, and then how I started to do those same things to my kids, like being controlling and being manipulative and trying to guide my kids' decisions by with my approval. Either you're going to do what I say and get my approval, or you're going to do your own thing and I'm going to disapprove, and then I'm going to detach and pull away from you, and I'm just going to let you do it on your own. That's a manipulation tactic that I
Mm-hmm.
didn't realize that was that worked on me when I was growing up, and I didn't realize that I was transferring it over into my kids until I started getting more self-aware of it. So that's why a lot of people have mommy issues, especially a lot of men, and they don't even realize it, because a lot of times you're so enmeshed with your mother,
Manosphere.
yeah,
Yeah,
that you don't realize you have mommy issues.
absolutely. I mean, whew. I mean, when I started having children, I'm like, okay, you sort of look at what did my parents do and what worked, what didn't work. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I was married, we would always, try to do the things that our parents didn't do. Like, oh, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. Not that we grew up in an orphanage, we grew up well. And so we're like, we want even better for our kids. But then sometimes that reversed it. It made it not good.
Backfire.
Some of the things that they did were good, but we were looking at them like, we ain't
Yeah.
doing that. We ain't doing that. So I'm really learning, because I wouldn't try to, like what you were saying, Eric, because that hit home, like trying to push my will on my kids. I had to
Mm.
really learn that. And now, even further, now putting it in more action, being a grandma, because now I'm looking at her being a parent. And so I'm like,
Hmm.
and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
This is
Right.
this is for you. It's for me to be an advisor. If you want advice, if you don't, I'm not jumping in. I don't jump in. This is your baby. This is how you're gonna do it. There's no approval, because I think we talked about cussing, and I was like, you know what? I used to think like y'all don't need to cuss and stuff like that, but I didn't know there was cussing in sixth grade and all this. Like, I cussing at school, basically. Kids cussing at school. I didn't know. I'm like, I said, Jada, you cuss? She said, yes. At school, everybody cuss. I was like, ooh. Now,
Hmm.
DJ, we know he cussed, because he cussed very early, out loud, just. But she was saying with her son, she was like, I'm gonna let him say whatever words, as long as it's not disrespectful, and that he has, like, there will be boundaries to it. And I was like, you know what? They're only words.
Yeah.
That's the grandma now. Like the mama call, like, no, we ain't gonna.
I hear people say that all the time. They be like, now you a grandma, you let everything ride, but when you was raising me, you ain't let me do none of that.
Now I'm like, what, cussing ain't that. I mean, I don't cuss that often. Like, I may say it in transition. I'm talking, saying something, I get a little passionate. I may say a cuss word, but I'm not like bloom, bloom, bloom. I'm not spewing. So and Jada doesn't spew, so I don't feel like he's gonna spew. But if he says something, she's like, as long as he's not like cussing at me. If he's saying a story, now they would ask permission. Hey, Ma, I got to tell you the story, but it got cussing in it. I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
Right.
But that's something as a parent and now a new grandparent. It's like, you know what? I feel like I've done my part. That's I guess that's the other relinquishing part. Like,
yeah,
I did my thing. Now, just you. I'm not gonna be an overbearing. Like, I do it like this.
yeah.
But I like when you said, I'll give the advice if they want the advice. That was pretty cool to me. I like that.
I had to put that on my vision board 2 years ago. Probably 2 years after after I got divorced, I put it on my vision board. Do not insert myself unnecessarily, because I was stressing myself out. I was trying to over here be this person, trying to help this person, trying to do this, and I'm like, I can't do. I was wearing myself thin because I was inserting myself unnecessarily. They ain't asked for my help, but I can do this. I can do. No, I can't. You can't have the mind frame to say, hey, I need help with something.
Right.
So I'm gonna let you drown a little bit. I'm gonna let a little salt get in your nose. I'm gonna let water get in your ear. You're gonna scratch your knee. Then if you come to me, yes, but I'm not gonna just be there, just always trying to catch and save, because I was finding myself hurting myself.
Ooh.
Yes.
This is something else I learned. Hardest thing for a lot of parents to do is to allow their children to make their own mistakes and not interfere and not take that on as a sign that you're a good or a bad parent. And that's why a lot of parents are controlling, because in their mind, if their child makes mistakes, if their child does things in this world, that means that I somehow failed as a parent. Whereas you have to separate yourself from your kids. They are a separate entity from you. They don't even belong to you. They were made by God. You are the vessel that brought them here, but they don't belong to you. And that's where we get messed up with ownership over our children.
I was just thinking that. Yes.
We own their failures, and then we own their successes. And so if my child is a successful person, that means that I'm a successful parent. But how many people have gone on to be successful with no parents?
Exactly.
How many people have gone on to live a totally wasted life, and they had everything they needed from their parent?
Yeah.
So your parenting, your value as a parent has nothing to do with what your child decides to do once they become of age.
Absolutely. I mean, you preaching right now, Erica,
And that's
because
the toxic shame.
That's the shame. That's the shame. And that's where you get people who exile their kids, or, disassociate from their kids and pretend like, they don't even have kids, because you've done this with your life and it's an embarrassment to the family.
Right. But all the other stuff we don't talk about could be an embarrassment too.
Oh,
that part.
Exactly.
Right.
The things that you're hiding, the things that you want to hide behind closed doors, but you're not exiling that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, Erica, you hit so many good points right there. And as a parent, like, I had to learn that like, once y'all know right from wrong, whatever y'all do, it's not on me. It is not on me. But now when they make the dean's list and stuff, I'll be standing up. See that call, I'll be like,
yeah, I did that. I did that.
Like graduation, I was like acting all a fool. But then on the flip side, when negative things happen, you be like, both the parents, we looking at you like, who is that, your family or is it my family? Nobody want to grab that bag. So
right. I taught you better than that.
Okay, so now instead of grabbing a bag to claim, this is your bag. This you. This all you. Like even when they excelling, like I told them the other day, both, I said, "Oh, I love y'all adulting. Like I love this. I love being on the sidelines or even up in the stands. Like I don't even have to be on the sidelines. I'm up in the stands. I'm in the office somewhere else looking like, oh, good job, or,
Right.
oh, you need help with something, then go from there. So, yeah, those are all good points. And this is the final thing we're going to talk about, because I know this is what everybody been waiting on, these romantic, toxic relationships. Does anybody have a personal experience that they can share?
Well, it happened in 19.
Oh, hey, Q. Thank you for tuning in with us.
Thank you. You want to go first, Ursula? Or you want me to start it off?
Ooh.
I can go. I'm literally thinking which story to tell. Because I'm serious. There's so many. I'm literally overwhelmed on which one to pick.
Exactly.
So, let's see.
What about the most recent? Has something recently happened that was...
Oh yeah, my ex, he was a monster. I'm sure he still is. And kind of pedaling back. So I'm not a parent. That's why I stayed quiet, because I was listening to you all. But I have parents. And
right. So you can still relate.
I sure can. Yeah. And when Queen said how, I'll never be like a parent. That's how I was in my last relationship. Oh, I'll never be like my mother, because my mother is extremely passive and my father is extremely aggressive. Okay. Like they are truly polar opposites, but yet they both are still passive aggressive. Well, guess who showed up? And I literally emulated my mother in that last relationship.
Wow.
So I had to figure out and learn with the tools I learned through therapy that I had to break the toxic relationship with myself.
Ooh.
And in turn, I started recognizing, but it's a blessing now, but I didn't know it. He dumped me. He discarded the relationship. He discarded me. And I was broken down. It was the worst. But I still knew it was a toxic relationship because I was doing things that, I was doing it before. But at the age I should not have been doing it. But I also realized I was constantly being triggered by issues that I never resolved with parents. Like the abandonment issues, and there goes the flipping the tables and fill in the blank, So yeah, it was an extremely toxic relationship, but I ignored my intuition. I heard it. It wasn't even a whisper. It was screaming in my ear, but I ignored it. And that was the end result. But I think I mentioned this when we had our talk on our IG, Erica. I actually saw him with his new girlfriend.
Wow.
And I felt sorry for her because I was like, this sister doesn't even know what she's about to get into. And I was at work when I saw them. So he's so vindictive. Of course, I would never go up to them, even if I wasn't working. But I really felt bad for her. Yeah, I did. And I knew he was cheating on me. So I'm figuring it had to be with her.
Wow.
But I still felt bad for her. But now I'm just thinking about it. The positive thing is that's how I can tell that I am healing.
Yes.
Yes. That you didn't react.
No, I
Yes.
didn't react. My response was anything more. Don't get me wrong now. I did not like seeing him and it was a shock, but I had empathy for her. Woo,
Yeah. Yeah.
I did. I had some she's in an abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive relationship.
Yeah.
I know
Mm,
it. He's a narc. He has narc vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my toxic trait in a relationship is that if I disconnect with somebody, I think they're ugly afterwards. So when I see them, I'm like, ooh, they just.
That ain't toxic.
Yeah, that was something you felt all along because we
I'm
know.
like, they don't
That's
look
how we
that
can
hot.
tell everything and have an itemized list when the relationship is over. Like that MF, he did this, he was ugly, he was small, but we still stuck in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because sometimes when you look back on some a dysfunctional relationship that was you were in, it just reflects to you what mindset you were in at that time.
Yes.
Because when I look back at some of my relationships and the partners I was with, and I think today, like, would I have ever given them the time of day if I met them today, who I am today and who they were? No.
I
So
know
that
you
just lets
wouldn't.
me know where I was at that time in my life. And that just let me know that by me being in those toxic relationships, I was a toxic person because that's what was familiar to me. That's what was attractive to me. Um, you know, carrying, all those holes and those voids from my childhood into relationships,
Mhm.
hoping that these people would fill those voids and
Mm,
would
mm.
heal those wounds. And it just compounded the pain. It compounded the trauma. And I forgot who I was having this conversation with, but I remember talking about one of the biggest heartbreaks of my life that I ever went through. I couldn't even hardly pull myself up out of bed because I was so heartbroken, and I felt like, my life was over in this person. I put all my all into this person,
Mhm.
and I realized I shouldn't you should never ever feel like your life is over when a
Yes.
relationship comes to an end. That right there in itself lets you know it was a toxic relationship, because you looking to that person for your worth, for your identity, for your purpose in life. And then when that person goes away, now you feel like you have no reason to live anymore. That
Mhm.
lets you know that was a toxic, unhealthy relationship. And I remember feeling like my heart physically
Yes.
broke, like I felt a pain in my chest.
Oh.
That's how I knew I was so heartbroken. And I remember getting up and going to work. I had just cried so hard before I went to work. And I remember going to work feeling like a robot. Like I was just going through the motions, doing the things that I know I'm supposed to do to look like I'm functioning.
The
But I
man.
was I was empty inside. There was
Mm.
nothing inside. And after that, I knew that I had to do some work on myself, because I didn't ever want to feel like that again. And I was addicted to the cycle. I was addicted to the high of a
Mhm.
new relationship. And this is going to be the person that's going to save me and unbreak my heart. And this is going to be my happily ever after. And then when it didn't pan out to what it was, then I was on the lowest of the low again. And
Mhm.
then it would start all over again. And I would always be looking for that savior in those relationships, because I didn't have anything inside of me that said I was worthy to just, to be by myself and be happy in who I was first. I always needed somebody else to to give me happiness. And that's when I knew that those relationships were toxic. I was toxic. I look back on a lot of the things that I overlooked, that I knew during the time when I was noticing them. I was like, that don't seem quite right, or that ain't really, that don't make me feel good, but I want this so bad. I'm willing to overlook that over there because I want this so bad. And when you're operating from that place of wanting something so bad that you'll put up with anything to get it, you're in a toxic headspace.
That's right.
You're in a toxic headspace.
That is true. Q said, say that he said it's hard to self-reflect, but it's the only way to be successful in dating.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
When I started pointing the finger, here, that's when I got my power back. Because when you're pointing the finger there, that person has the power. That means you have totally no control over the outcome of what's going on in your life. They're pulling all of the strings.
Yep.
And so when you're giving them all of that control, what can you do but go along with whatever they say, however they want the relationship to go, whatever they want to put you through? You're giving them the power. So when I started pointing back at myself and saying, you did that to yourself, you knew that wasn't right, but you went along with it. So now I took my choices back. So now the next time I see that, I know if I put up with that, then it's on me.
That's right.
Don't be blaming nobody else. It's on me now.
Yes. And then you talked about cycles too. I was addicted to the highs and lows, because when the highs are high, we were just on top of the world. I was getting whatever
It give you that fairy tale feeling, you know, when you watch the movie.
You can have whatever you like. I was like, okay. I was like, okay. Which that goes into codependency, but we ain't gonna talk about that today. We don't got enough time. But I was in that cycle of the high. I enjoyed, like, chasing that high again. When it was low, it's like, oh, it ain't gonna be like this all the time, because we're gonna go up and then it's gonna be this way. So cycles are very important for us to recognize. And I do a lot of journaling because, I have to ask myself something like, well, when I'm feeling so high, what is going on? Who's around me? What is going on? Because I got to check myself to make sure. And that personal accountability, especially after being married for 17 years, everybody want to know who did what happened. And, your natural self want to say something, not on you. But all I said was we both had a part to play in it, because like you said, Erica, I made choices that were wrong too. So it's like it was both of our fault, So taking that personal accountability is what really laid the foundation for me to be able to start knowing who I am, what I like, what I don't like, because I was so used to going along to get along. Then I didn't even have my own mind, and I wasn't even thinking about it then, because I was just, going from one phase to another. So, you make some very good points.
When I was in relationships, it literally felt like, okay, I'm in the relationship. Okay, this is the plug, and I just plug everything, the essence of Ursula, toxic, good, bad, ugly, whatever, and it all went to that person. And then when it was done, and remember, like, all that energy is going straight to the person because it's plugged in. And then when it's over, you're like the energy, that life force is gone. So that's how I was feeling, like you, Erica. Like, oh my God, my life is literally drained. My life source has been disconnected. Yeah. But I also learned, like, that high and low, those are drug hits. Because it's the same thing. Like the dopamine, that's the feel good, is no different than cocaine.
Yep. That's what I said. My drug of choice was a man.
Yeah. Addicted.
People be addicted to people and don't even know it. And you be laughing and pointing fingers at a crackhead. You, ma'am, are also a crackhead.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's just a different form.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, ladies, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I could probably talk to y'all for 2, 3, 6 hours, but I know I gotta hire y'all, because the budget ain't ready to be talking y'all for hours and hours.
You are too cute.
Yes.
Erica, tell us all that you have going on, where we can find you. And please tell them about your coaching services as well, because you didn't mention that earlier. I know Dope Discussions Live is dope. Make sure y'all should already be following that, so don't act crazy. But tell them about your coaching services as well, because that's something that we all need, because just going through this life, we cannot do it alone. We don't know everything. Yeah. And we don't have the experiences to do that. But when you have a coach, somebody like Erica, like, you can get tapped in. So let everybody know about that.
So my coaching services is called Coach Ease Life Coaching Services. I do virtual coaching sessions for women. I help in areas of self-love, dating, breakup recovery, and life purpose, because those were the 4 things in my life that I struggled with the most, that I learned the most about. And so, if you want to reach out to me, you can go to my website. It's www.coache-lifecoaching.com, and we can set up a virtual Zoom call, or if you prefer, just over the phone, whatever you prefer. But if you're trying to get over somebody, if you're going through a breakup, I can help you with that. If you want to just get your self-love back intact, I can help you with that. If you're ready to get back out there in the dating streets, because I have extensively dated, and more dated. And I can tell you the ins and outs, the ups and the downs, and the goods and the bads about dating. So you can just reach out to me if you want, if you need help in those areas.
Okay, thank you. Ursula B, tell us what's going on over there at Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together.
So if you all want to get your shift together, just come on over right here again. Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. Everything I talk about is about mental health and wellness and the advocacy of it all. And, look at me as your wellness plug.
I love that. Thank you, ladies, for being on Light the Path tonight.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting us. And we'll be collabing again really soon.
Absolutely. Good night.
Good night.